Hi everyone, welcome to Life Changing Session. My name is Aman Pandit. So this session is all about focusing on our mental aspect of our life. When I say a mental aspect, it simply includes emotional aspect, social well-being, and psychological aspect. So this session is all about focusing on all those areas. As we know, like it so crucially determines our life. And let me give you an example. Like out there, you have seen a lot of people at one point they are having a beautiful lifestyle or well-being. When I say a lifestyle or well-being, it simply means a feeling of satisfaction, happiness, or comfortableness. So maybe like they came across something more horrible that made a huge impact on their lives, where they could not handle it properly. They did not have that attitude to see things in a better way, see challenges in a better way, a better understanding about life, a better understanding about situation. So this session is all about developing those things. So as we know, like depression hold the first place related to our mental aspect of our life. So if you see according to WHO statistics, around like 200 million people gets affects every year, 200 million people. So it's time to think about that, because we are more into like physical than rather than looking into like mental aspect of our life. When I like it determines our life. If you see a people on the street, the homeless people, what do you think about them? Like what made them come on the street? I'm not talking like they are on the street. That's not the key thing to understand. The key thing to understand is to see their mental aspect of their life. What do you think was their mental aspect was their life? So the key thing to understand is once they were like us, they had a house, family, friends, a social life, or might be at one point something made a horrible impact on them or terrible impact on them, might be incident, accident, might be any situation or people, where they could not see things in a proper way, where they could not handle things in a proper way. So it's time to think, time to develop those attitude. And when I say attitude, it simply means a way to see things in a better way, challenges in a better way. Let me give you an example. Let me make it more clear. Like if you see any situation, person, or like that made an impact on your life, or might be like incident, accident, there like is positive, negative. Like if the person is like, if you see any situation, or let me make it more clear. Like any picture, any situation. So if the negative part is there, like there is always positive and negative. Let's take it this for granted. Like even science says like positive and negative. Even there is like if there is always opposite force. So if there is positive, there is negative too. So when you see a situation, there might be like more likely to be, because it made a huge impact, right? So when you see a picture, the negative part might be so visible, like the bigger portion might be negative part, but like the small portion within that situation, like the small portion might be there will be a positive part too, and that might be really a small portion. But the thing to understand is we are so into looking into things, like if something makes an impact on our life or any situation, incident, we focus on negative part, negative things. We focus on that visible, but the positive part is hard to see because it's a life-changing thing. So when you understand, when you try to understand, there is always something to learn from that. So when I say a better understanding, so it means that. So let's understand these things. When you find out that positive thing, it's not easy because it's a positive, like the whole, within that whole picture, like if you find a negative part and it's visible, we are so into looking into things like the things that's really visible, we cast that and move. Like if you move towards or if you attract negative, you are creating a misery. So this session is all about focusing on those areas where you can see things in a better way. So let's understand this. Like people out there, like I earlier said, like when you cannot handle things, when you cannot see things in a proper way, you are creating a misery. And moreover, like let's understand, no, like whichever way, like let me make you more clear, like I'm not trying to portray to present a way like you go this way or that way. Whichever way you go, people are living their life in their own way, but still they are suffering. Time to think about that. If you're living your life the way you wanna, you dress, you make a choices, and still you are suffering, means something has to be changed. The way you are doing within yourself, because they are still suffering. You do, that means something to you, and don't suffer. And I do take it for granted, like, is there, like, as I say, like positive, negative, suffering, happiness. But you see, like if it works parallel, there is a bright side too, you see that. So that's what this session is all about. When you see that, it's life changing. So it's pretty hard to see people suffering when there is still an opportunity to see a bright thing. So when I say a mental aspect, so this made me come here and talk on this topic. As you see, our education system never taught these things, the way of life, to see challenges in a better way, to see things in a better way, a better understanding about life. And as I said, depression hold of first place related to our mental aspect, which affects our life, which affects our mental aspect in a negative way. And that leads to different other mental illness as well. Time to think 200 million people, and it's seen in every age, and moreover like 1 in 4 people worldwide. So it's time to think, time to understand, and let me make you more clear, like the only person who can make change within yourself is you. The only person who can help you is you yourself. If you are not willing to take help, no one can help you. So it's just a small effort to make this world a better place. And it's up to you. Like I just thought of coming up here and present it. It took me a long time to work in this project and understand how it affects, what are the causes, how it affects our mental aspects, because this is so crucial. Like within a second, life changes. And if today we are not looking into ourselves, not understanding our mental aspect of our life, it might lead to misery. You are creating misery for yourself. You are more likely to create misery for yourself because you are not trying to understand. And if you see the initial stage of depression, so what are the stages? We see like it's a negative emotion. We come across in our day-to-day life. It's simple as it is, like the negative emotion, sadness, and guilt and all, anger. But it's a temporary, let's understand it's a temporary. But when you get stuck with that, you are more likely to make it permanent. So it's time to think about that. So this is, and I'll be talking in all of our aspect related to our mental aspect. I'll be talking overall thing, how it resonates you take. And trust me, like nobody can make a change within yourself because you know more than anyone else knows you. You understand. If you're not trying to understand, suppose if you are feeling sad, you know you are feeling sad. But the key thing to understand is why are you feeling sad? That's the key. When you understand that, it's a life changing. So it takes time. It's not like I'm feeling sad, let's concentrate. It takes time. Maybe it depends upon like any situation, any person, or an incident, accident. So you focus like why are you feeling? Because our mental, as we know, like let me make you more clear. Like you see, right, we come across a lot of things in our day-to-day life every day. Slowly, gradually change when you see people, once they were so normal, so calm. But later on, after a month or maybe within a short period of time, they just changed like horrible, something made a horrible impact. The change is gradual, you cannot see. But when you see it, it just take a shape, like you get angry. A person you meet before, you like the person, your friend or someone, a relative who was kind of introvert. and later on he changed to extrovert. Like within a second he changed, that's not the thing. It's a gradual. Every day when you come across anything, everything makes an impact on you if you are taking those. So sometimes our brain is super fast, the thought process, the psychological process, when you understand that. We hold the topmost place because there must be something, right? We hold the topmost place in comparison to all those living beings. We have created something out of everything. We do have power. We have been to space. We have been to like lot of. We have done a lot of things. Like we have created a dimension, all those technologies. Why is that? Our intelligence. At the same time, when you see the other part is like people have created a misery for themselves. Within a, like if you see the psychological aspect, one thought when you are acting on that and you cannot handle, and when you believe, assume, when you believe, assume, you are, if it does not mean something, or when you assume on the basis of nothing, when you believe on the basis of nothing, you are creating a misery because you have no proper understanding and you are reacting on that. And when you pick a thought and act on that, you are creating. Because if you are not wise enough to handle those things, if you are not wise enough to see things in a better way, it will make effect. It will make, even if you say like, no people or anything cannot make me affect, and I'll just sit, or I'll just enclose myself in a room, and it's still like your world lies within you. What does that mean? It simply means your thought process, the way you see, your experiences, the way you perceive those things. So when you pick a thought and act on that, it makes a change, positive, negative, however. So the thing is like, when you believe on the basis of something, on the basis of evidence. Don't assume. Out there, let me make you more clear, like as I said, it's a mental aspect, the session is all about mental aspect. So let me make you, because the small things make a big differences, a huge differences in our lives, the way we see the situation, person, or any incident, accident. Out there are lots of people who wants you to be who wants you to do what they are doing or what they want, who wants you to see what they see, who wants you to become what they want. So it's like if someone says something, you understand. People knows. When you know and when you simply believe, you are creating a misery because you simply did not try to understand that. When someone says, I'm not saying like you don't listen, be open to everything, and you are intelligent enough to figure out everything. So that's why we hold the first place. So when someone says something, anything, like every day you come across and a lot of people say a lot of things, that's fine. That's totally, just be open. But when someone says you don't believe, what I mean like you don't believe is like you understand. When you understand those things, when you figure out, on the basis of that, you believe. Do not assume, do not guess. These are the things that we are creating a misery. Please do not do that, and this is way. And please do what means to you. Everyone are living their life the way you wanna, but still suffering means. Here, let me make you more clear, like clarity. Let me make you more crystal clear, like if someone has said something like any goal they are doing, you see there, we are more into looking into other lives rather than looking into ourselves, our mental aspect, and we see, oh, he have done something, oh, he is doing something, he is experiencing luxury or something, a sophisticated lifestyle, and people are there to say, you see what he have done. Not understanding, see what he's doing, what does that mean. They see like they are there. They are seeing what is visible they are seeing, but they are not seeing like what does that means to him. And when you set the same goal, and you do, you might be success in that, but in the end of the day, your mental aspect is important. Or well-being is important. When your mental aspect simply determines your lifestyle, and when you are not satisfied with that, because how can you be satisfied when you simply does not mean something to you? So always try to do something that means something to you. When it simply does not mean, you are creating a misery, because end of the day, Your inner peace, your well-being determines your lifestyle. So satisfaction or feeling of people, they do have like they are rich or might be a car luxury, but still they cannot experience inner peace. Still they cannot experience a well-being. Why is that? Because the what they are doing does not simply means to them. They are not simply doing like people say, I don't like myself. If you don't like, you just change it, like, or if you are doing for something, it should mean something to you. Please don't let money, people, situation control you. Every time there will be, for one moment, okay, there is no like, we are bounded, but don't let that control you, because every time you get an opportunity to flip back and try a new way, that something means to you. But when you are not trying, when you are trying to fit within a system, because we know like people have created lots of people like you gotta be in a system in the sense is like you gotta get a job, you gotta build a house, you gotta have a luxury cars. We are into so much things like we simply don't have time to see into our lives like what something means to him. People out there, let me say you something like I'm not trying, it's just like I have been working. And it's not like I studied a single individual and got those information. It took me a long time to understand this. So like people out there, they have simply no idea. If you ask, like if you ask, might be, might not be, not sure. But when you ask, why are you doing this? Have no idea why they are doing. Money, like you get money for everything. Even you sit on the street, you get money. But when you are doing a job or anything, for one moment, okay, like money, okay, that's really important. That's the one part of our life. We got to understand, we have built that. But for a long run, you are doing, and it simply does not mean something to you. And later on, you say, I don't like my job or I don't like something. Means you got to change, right? Don't let things control you. So this is like, I'll be talking and more of like depression. If you see if you can prevent that, more like this is all about preventing, and cure is like if you go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, or for that mental thing. When you go there, what they do, they simply ask you to like what happened. They try to understand, and they give you more clarity. This is the same thing, but here when you are in an initial stage or when you are feeling, you look into your lives. When you try to understand yourself, you don't need someone. And moreover, like if you are creating a boundary not to understand today or not to look into your lives today, then you are more likely to create misery. By the time no one will understand you, by the time you will not understand yourself, and please do not expect someone to understand, because this is the horrible thing we are doing, and it's funny too, because you are a unique person. You know more than anyone else knows, and you try to know how someone can know you. So if something has to be make change, you make within yourself. And please, people do have complain like nobody can understand. Why do you expect someone to understand when you are simply not trying to understand yourself? Please do understand yourself and make change according to that. That's the way to live. People have simply like they believed or assume or they have accepted we gotta live with the painful memories or we gotta live with the misery, suffering or past baggage. So that painful memories, that past baggage are the shadow of your past. If you're not working on that, that will never leave you. You have to leave that behind to experience a well-being, a beautiful lifestyle. People simply move within that, simply along their journey, and they think it's a part. The pain is a part. It's still like, I do understand. I take it for granted, like every day, even I come through a lot of things. But you see the bright side. Always try to focus. Might be little, the positive part might be, the portion might be really small. But when you focus on that, it's a life-changing. When you focus on negative part, the visible, we are so into like eye-catching things, the situation, but positive part might be hidden. So So it is our intelligence to see those things. We are intelligence to figure out those things. But when you don't figure out that, and when you just see and attract negative things, when you attract or when you see those and when you move towards that or when you attract, you are attracting those negative things. So you are creating a misery for yourself. So it's time to think, time to understand, look into your lives, and moreover, like I'd like to say something like my depression, like the worst thing we experience in our life, or maybe at any point in our life, we come across a situation like love. Like why is that? Like because this is something that's leading to depression, a relationship. We are more obsessed into people, more obsessed into things, more obsessed into getting into relationship or any like in those things, because this is where we are. But when you see that, like we come across, as I say, like love, right? So people have like different understanding about love, like, and moreover, like when breakup happens or when they're obsessed with any person, they make themselves so miserable. Why is that? It's time to think. People have, I'm not saying like they don't know, they know. Knowing is within your mind, but understanding is working on something. They know. Like let me say you one quote. You gotta love yourself before loving someone, or you gotta love yourself first. What does that mean? People know, often use in a conversation, but does not understand. Why is that? Because when you understand, you know. Knowing is simply everyone knows things, but understanding means walking on that. Walking on that, what does that mean? Getting something from there. That means something to you. You're getting somewhere. And when you know, you just know nothing. Just knowing is not enough. When you understand, you're getting. So in the next session, like the earlier, so this is all about, like, as I said, like love is more like relation, breakup, and more into like leading into this big depression, because we get angry, we liberate hate, sadness, happiness. Like if you see the other reason might be different reason, but that according to my research, like working on that, I find like in across on our journey, we come across these things might be few times, number of times, and and might be we fall on our face, we encounter disappointment, sadness, anger, or hate, liberate those things because we are not getting. So the other session will be about love. What love is. I'll explain those things. People are getting something, they do have different understanding about that. When I say I'll show you the other side, where people are not getting what does that mean. When you get, you'll understand, you'll get out of those past baggage. So as I said, like a better understanding about situation, a better understanding about life, a better understanding about a better attitude towards something. So this session is all about, I'll be talking, and if you're not trying to understand, I cannot do anything. It's just a small effort and contribution to make this world a better place, full of love, stress-free. Because if you don't have those things, you are creating a misery for yourself. You are being miserable because in our day-to-day life we come across this emotion, but the negative emotion, the feeling of hate or liberating anger, sadness, encountering sadness. So this session is all about looking, this whatever I am going to do further. This session is all about looking into our lives, looking into our things, looking into a situation. I'll be talking everything, and moreover, like, as I said, like depression, when it gets permanent, it's a depression. But initially stage symptoms, sign, if you see, are the simple emotion, the emotion which we come across in our day-to-day life. But if we are moving along with that, means ourselves, we are leading ourselves into misery. So it's time to think, time to understand when you see signs, symptoms. It's so clear. It's so clear. So let's understand, let's unite and fight against this when you can see things in a better way. Then when it leads to prevention is better than cure. What does that mean then? When you can prevent a certain situation, when you have that attitude to look into your lives and make changes according to you within yourself, like to not to suffer, then that's good, right? That makes sense. But when you don't have that ability to make a change and you are trying to make a change in other person, this is the worst thing we do. Like I find it funny, like you try to make a change in someone else, you simply cannot make it. Like let's be more clear, like please do not expect this is the worst thing we do. You make change so that you can have a well-being, a beautiful lifestyle, a inner peace. You don't go after someone or something when you simply cannot make it. You try to make things, understand, make him understand, her or anyone, or any situation comes, and try to make it. But if you cannot, and if something cannot be done, you make a change according to within yourself. Don't expect to make a change where you cannot do. Don't try that hard. Just be so flexible that you make a change within to have inner peace. And let me add one more point, like when you move along, a past baggage, like those what you encounter, and if you are not living that, means you cannot experience a well-being. That's the hurdle, that creates a hurdle. Because when you are stuck at a particular point, mentally, that will bother you. For 1 minute you can skip, or maybe like for some moment, you are trying to go this way, that way. People are so into these things, simply accepted, like I'll run. They are simply running from they are simply running from their true self, running here and there, doing this and that. Instead of looking and fixing that, will that in a long run, that will make a huge impact on your life, because you did not try to fix, and that gets so strong, like you simply cannot do anything, because you simply did not try to understand at one point, and that boundary gets so strong, like you cannot do. So time to think, time to make a change. I'll be explaining all those things overall, whatever I know. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm just saying like whatever I know, because it's hard to see people in those states miserable, because our intelligence most of the time becomes our problem. If you see our psychological aspect of our life, the thought process is so much works parallel. So let's try to understand and make a change. When you make a change on that, when you work on things, you can experience a beautiful lifestyle. You can experience a well-being. So it's a small effort to make this world a better place. And I've been trying, I'm still learning, still trying to present in a meaningful way where people can understand. Simply speaking, I'm not trying to just speak and like I do know. I'm just trying to make you understand. I'll try to make it more clear, giving an example, giving everything. But question is, are you willing to understand? If you are not, nobody can help you unless you are willing to help yourself. Nobody can make a change within yourself unless and until you are willing to make a change. Time to think. As I say, like depression, 200 million people gets affected every year. It's a serious, and moreover 1 in 4 people, seen in 1 in 4 people. There might be a different stage, an initial, a worse, a mild, and the worst stage, where I have no idea which stage, because these are the, as I said, signs and symptoms: guilt, sadness, anger. It might lead to permanent if you are not working today. So it's a small effort to prevent those things, because it's a worldwide disability, these things, and lead to different mental illness, anxiety and all. So time to think, time to understand. Please stay tuned. It's a small effort, and as I said, like my next session will be all about love. So as I said, like the next session will be about love. So please stay tuned, and as a small request, please be kind to everyone. Please spread love. Be grateful. Appreciate yourself for living your life the way you wanna, for doing things, something that means to you. Please be kind to everyone. Everyone are struggling with their own life. So please be kind and start looking into your lives. Start focusing on the mental aspect of your life, because it's so crucial, as I said, like as I introduce all those things. So please stay tuned, and like my next session will be all about love, where like the highest, according to me, according to my research, like it leads to depression, because at one point, at any point of our life, we come across these things number of times, and it makes a huge difference, a huge impact on our lives. So please stay tuned and please spread love. Thank you.